What's going on, everybody? It's the crew. We are what are you wearing down there?
I said I'm a gun lobbyist. This is who I work
Oh.
for.
What
That
are
is
you
one of the topics
wearing down there?
Hey, you said
In
down
training.
there.
That's
That
a
was
great way
kind
to
of
start
weird.
the show.
I'm not wearing
Why do you,
anything
why do
down
you want to
there,
know what he's
Casey.
wearing down there, though?
LGBTQXYZ Elemental P. That's why.
Oh,
Why
shit,
not?
I gotta go.
So he's like, I'm outie.
Well, that reminded me. We still need to have a chat with your boss about T-shirts, or are we never doing that ever again?
I don't know what happened with that. I thought something happened with it, but we'll find out. They got someone local printing shirts, but they're not as high quality as I think he wanted. So
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
we'll figure it out.
Anyways, guys, go ahead and share this. I'm already being creepy. Go ahead and share this out. We are, of course, we got a decent. We're up to. We're actually bumping up a little bit. Good to see. We got a good show today. We've got. We're going to talk about Joe and the Ghost Gun ban because that's going to do a lot. We'll correlate that with Sacramento and the New York City shooting and that just happened today. College allowed a cop killer to speak. That actually happened. We talked about it a little over a month ago. Cop killer from 1971. We might have some differing opinions on that one. We'll see. Federal appeals court reinstates the Vasxxx mandate for federal employees. Why? I don't really know. Let's see. And then there's a dog food and baby formula shortage. The SCOTUS. Have we done the right thing by putting her in there? And then maybe a Don Jr.'s violations versus Hunter Biden's violations and see if we can compare the two. That's what we got on this show. Keep sharing it out. I'm going to go ahead and share this personally on this page. Casey, before we'll talk about Eric briefly at the beginning of the show. After we do the countdown. So what's going on? Let's go with Kevin. Kevin, what's going on in your life?
Nothing much. I'm 1 month away from graduating. And I just started working with Rocky Mountain gun owners. Remember, no compromise on the Second Amendment, guns all the way. Bang, bang, let's go.
Got it. See, we might have some disagreements on like ghost guns, but all right, we'll see. I want to be more educated on your opinion on that. So I'm looking forward to it. Suni, what's going on in the world of Instagrams? You're muted. Oh, we're back to we're muted t-shirts from Suni.
It's like, no. We're good. I'm getting attacked by conservatives. Now I'm getting attacked by racist conservatives who feel the need to refer to black folks as racial slurs. It's been an interesting couple weeks, man.
What happened?
Really interesting.
What happened?
Well, America First. They're really cringe.
Oh yeah. Nick Fuentes. Love him.
They're like, why are you so worried about a word when you people kill each other? And I'm like,
what do you mean, you people?
Exactly. I was like, you know what? If I was that black person, then I would have tore you up for even saying that to me, but I don't really care because I do talk about the violence. But it's been fun. It has. I find it interesting. It's been fun.
They're an interesting group of people.
They are. I was talking to Cash tonight, actually, before we got on. We were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I'm like, he's like, what do you feel about her? And I'm like, I think she's got a lot of positives and stuff, but I don't understand how people can speak at a Nick Fuentes event and not realize the ramifications when you're already called a racist. Like, it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, those dudes are actually racist. Here's how retarded they are. Dang it, I used the hard R.
Jeez.
No, here's how stupid they are. They say demographics are destiny, and then they don't even understand just how conservative all the people from all the countries are coming from are.
It's true. Very true.
They're actually stupid people.
Let's see. I'm going to share this. Let's see. Why can't it's always so hard to share. People also never get to see our stuff. I love Facebook. I'm on by the way, I did the count today. Day 126 of a 90-day ban.
Oh, nice. You can't.
How weird is that?
No, but Suni, you get what I'm saying on that, though. They say it all the time. Yeah.
They're cringe, bro.
Yeah.
They're super cringe.
It's like, yeah, like people in Latin America are conservative. They only voted Democrat until the freaking Democrats went wild.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Oh, demographics are destiny, bro.
Oh man. Oh, we got a couple things. First off, if you like the gear, as always, I think actually that's a very fitting Eric statement because that was always his specialty. If you like the gear, Make sure you go to awakenotwokestore.com. That's where you get these hats, the t-shirts Casey's got on, I got on. This was very popular in the gym, by the way, a couple days ago. Suni's got one on. Suni's got a new one, too. At one point, maybe we'll throw it up on the screen. Very popular. A couple t-shirt purchases. What does that one say again, Suni? Something about a woman?
Oh, follow the money. Are you talking about the one I came up with?
Yeah.
Being a woman is not a feeling.
Being a woman is not a feeling. I like that a lot.
Yes.
What's going on? Oh, yeah, I forgot to make that statement too. Please, guys, go in the comments. Watch The Water. That's what I was trying to tell them about earlier. It's a really good documentary by Stu Peters. Makes you think. It's Dr. Brian Ardis, who is brilliant in talking about remdesivir. He now has a very interesting breakdown on snake venom and COVID. Oh, just saying, it's worth the 45-minute watch. It is on Rumble. I actually, once my podcast starts up, whenever that may be, definitely going to do a show with Brian Ardis. I've gotten to meet him before, and I know he's down, so that will be fun to watch. So, with that said,
I had something else going on in my life.
What's that? What's that?
My girlfriend went on vacation. I get a break
from having a girlfriend.
Yeah, no, it's been stressful.
Oh yeah. Welcome to being an adult.
I know.
Speaking of facing more threats in our life, we're facing more threats than ever before when our leaders warn of global food shortages, including here in the United States, guys. It's time to act. So go to preparewithbtc.com and get your long-term emergency food shortage from My Patriot Supply while you can. We don't know when more empty store shelves may hit, so now is the best time to act. My Patriot Supply is by far the #1 preparedness company to rely on, with millions of satisfied customers this past year. Act quickly and save $150 on a vital 3-month emergency food kit. The kit provides breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks, totaling over 2,000 calories a day. Every family in America needs to have at least one 3-month supply of food per person. So again, now you can. Go to preparewithbtc.com, save $150 on your 3-month food kits. And remember, it ships quickly and arrives in unmarked boxes for your privacy. That is technically our only real sponsor of the show. So let's get the party started, guys. What do you say?
I say
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Truth Will Set You Free, episode number 94. We're talking Joe Bidey Pants and the Ghost Gun Band, Sacramento, New York City shooting. College allowing cop killers to speak on campus at SUNY. That's not our SUNY, but SUNY. It's a university. We got the federal appeals court reinstating the vax mandate for federal employees, dog food and baby formula shortage. Way to go, Joe. SCOTUS, what has to be? Was this something that had to be done, or was she worth the job? And then Don Jr. versus Hunter Biden. And there was, I'm sure we'll talk about more stuff as we go. Let's get started with episode number 94 of Truth Will Set You Free, Tuesday. Woo! Let's do introductions, and then let's get to the matter at hand that I know that we do need to talk about. Suni, tell everybody about yourself.
I'm Suni, and I'm black, and I'm not oppressed. And that's my TED Talk.
That was great. I love it. Kevin.
I'm Kevin, and I'm a black female as well.
I'm Anthony, and I identify as somebody that doesn't want to be here right now. Just kidding. Casey, what's cracking? Go ahead and let's go ahead and have you start the show and talk about what's up.
I identify as an it. But we'll just start there.
Or as a skateboard. There you go. Identify as a skateboard.
No, skateboards lose. We already lost. We already know
True.
that. ARs win. ARs win.
Yeah. There we go.
No, it's good. Today was a great day. I shouldn't say great day, but it's a somber day, to say the least. But Eric had his services today, and we went over some good stuff, and it was a good time to bring people together. And everything that went on with him, that his family did a fantastic job in putting everything together. I purposely went out and grabbed his pamphlet so I can just kind of show it off here. out of my car. But yeah, they did a great farewell for him today, and they definitely showed some respect. And a lot of people didn't realize his passion for unity and bringing people together. And it's very unfortunate that we have lost him so soon, but may he rest in peace for sure.
So for those that don't know, Easy passed away. What day was it? A couple days
The
ago.
7th. Here's it's right here in the middle.
It kind of came out of nowhere. Ashley, his wife, sent us a message, and it was kind of a like, excuse me, like what happened? And I mean, a lot of you guys know that he was on the show quite a bit for several months, and then lately we know that he moved back to Utah, which he's known Casey for a long time, and moved back to Utah, and he just has been busy, and we haven't really pushed the envelope. You know, he was on the show, I think, as recent as about a month ago, and we unfortunately just got the news, and out of respect to his family, we haven't even asked what happened, and that's it. Unfortunately, it's been a rough couple of years for those that have followed from the beginning. We lost Dr. Lockwood. Kevin lost somebody very close to him just a couple weeks ago. And then now we lost another one of our own. So, and for those that watch Cash's stuff, we lost Dallas Carter probably about a year ago now. And I actually talked to Cash tonight, and still don't know what happened on that. So unfortunately lost another one. Thank you guys for, he was young. He was 33 years old. Thank you guys for always being viewers and even knowing who he was and got to watch his participation with us. And Casey, thank you for your introduction to him. It was a pleasure enjoying some of his long-winded rambles and some of his brilliant evenings and some of the brainstorming with him. So
that was also mentioned in his service today, by the way.
Yes, it was. Yes. The man likes to talk. I had no idea he had a traumatic brain injury when he was younger. I did not know that.
It was actually on Truth. He talked about it.
It was on Truth?
Uh-huh.
I must have zoned out. Must have been part of
you asked him why you asked him why he can't play football anymore, and he says,
"Oh yeah, I remember talking about
that." I went back and watched all those videos to try to find that. Yeah, he went over a lot of his stories on Truth,
but it was mixed in with so many words.
You know what's funny? When I got the news, I made a graphic for him, and that was one of the things that I put in there because I said he was also one of the most long-winded people I've ever had the courtesy of going live with. Like this guy, oh my God, Eric could talk, but he was smart, man. Even when we would do Mata shows, when I stopped doing the shows after the whole PTP thing, he was the main one in my inbox. Like, all right, when are we going live? What are you doing? You need to get out of this rut. You cannot go live. You have to go live. You have to do what you've been doing and continue doing it. So rest in peace, man. I'm going to miss this guy.
Yeah.
I did not get to know him as well as I should have, but the short time that I knew him, he was an absolutely wonderful person, and I could feel the love from him all the time.
Yep. And again, sorry for your loss too, Kevin. All right. Let's get the show started with let's just go right into Joe and the Ghost Gun Band. As you guys see on the bottom, by the way, we still have the Patreon. I appreciate you guys for supporting it. I've got I think I've landed on a title. I spoke with some of the people for the podcast. I don't know when it's going to start because I need to get advertisers before I start doing it because it is not cheap to do that show. So I am, but I think I went with BFD. I went with blunt force discussion. That's what
big
it's going to be.
Freaking dick that is,
or big fucking deal. So it's also that as well.
You're blunt. Am I going to be on your first episode so we can show who's really blunt?
Yeah.
Are you going to try? Once you travel in from Japan, you're on. Done and done. Done and done.
When am I going to be on your podcast, Anthony?
As soon as you can travel in from Denver.
Gross.
I got an idea, Kevin. Well, I'll take a detour. I'll drive to Denver, come pick you up, and we'll drive down to Denver.
Well, you're doing that. You're coming on my show. Again.
We can do that.
Did you guys hear what Casey did the first time he was on my show?
Did he fart?
No. I accidentally said shit. I accidentally said shit.
Oh, Casey. Why we can't have nice things.
Yes, it was my bad, and I felt horrible.
No,
and
you're
Kevin
good.
ignored me for 4 days, and I'm like,
No, I didn't mean to do that. I told you you were
Dang.
fine right away.
I
but
thought
then
it would
didn't
be me
respond.
first, Casey. I used to go on Liberty Revolt and talk on the radio. I never said swear words. I'm shocked it was you of all people.
Well,
I still haven't done it.
I just said bullshit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
They say it now on Comedy Central. What's his Trevor Noah drops it all the time.
Right.
He also drops a shit while he's on camera.
Well, he's always been
oh,
allowed
are
to
we
do
talking
that.
about Joe Biden again?
Yeah.
He's
Since
our
we're on
cable,
that
so
topic
he's
of
always
Liberty
been able
Revolt,
to.
before we get into even all that,
Yeah.
everybody is seeing what's going on in Shanghai, China, right? And
Yeah, Cole's doing some pretty
Oh,
great
yeah,
stuff.
Cole.
I
Yes.
keep forgetting to send him a message. I need to get him on my
Reach
show to
out
talk
to
about that.
Cole if you
How
have
is
not,
the
reach out to him.
how is the NBA? How are these big companies still doing business, or in any way, shape, or form? Like
What's your
now,
shirt say?
this is what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. You could talk about on 78 different aspects. You could talk about Zelensky being good or bad. You could talk about Putin invading. You could talk about this bombing. You could talk about the butcher of Russia, whatever that guy. It's bad. This is a war. This is a war zone. China is a war against an illness that they created. Sorry, I'm saying it, that they created. And what they are doing is human rights violations that are starting to creep into the world of the Holocaust. And it's and especially to animals. It's creepy. Suni, you had a look on your face. Is that maybe not a good comparison? Is that too far?
No, I mean,
Communist regime, yeah.
I think that Americans should pump the brakes on judging videos that are coming out of China, because we're not there. We don't exactly know what's going on. I've had people send me footage. And no, I would not compare it to the Holocaust, because I don't think that anything is really comparable to that. Of course, there have been multiple, but no, I would never put China and the Holocaust in the same sentence. No.
Might have been too far.
Yeah, and you know what? Not to be insensitive, okay? Because I've dealt with suicidal thoughts, anxiety, all that. I get it. But jumping out of a window, I just can't, man. Like I can't deal with the propaganda, and that's all we keep saying is people jumping out of the window, dead bodies. Like, what's actually going on there first? That's just me personally. I want to know what's going on there first before I ever speak on it.
A couple things real quick, Suni. So first, like, I would put China in the same sense as the Holocaust, not right now, but 72 million people were killed directly by the Chinese Communist Party because of Mao Zedong. Like, they killed multitudes more. So it's not that it was worse. There is absolutely evil within the Communist Party and its history on the level of the Holocaust, and that's part of the reason why communism is so heavily fought against. But it's an interesting situation, because any other country, and I would be like, we're seeing a lot of propaganda. China has such a stranglehold over most of our media corporations. They own Chinese corporations own significant parts of CNN, MSNBC, the various media corporations. You're seeing that we get a very tailored, there's a very controlled outlet for information coming out of China on a typical day. I'm seeing it everywhere from just people's videos on random WeChats and stuff like that. People screaming out their windows. Like, the thing is how long can you starve people in the pursuit of COVID-0 before you actually start seeing millions of people dying? Because it's going to happen.
And before Casey, before you go, let's also not forget, this is what they're doing to their own people. Let's not forget what they did to the Uyghurs, what they're still doing to the Uyghurs
actively
right now.
Casey, be very careful with that word. That word can get you in trouble.
Really? Oh,
with a hard R, it can.
No,
Yeah,
it's
just make sure you don't
so
mess
Suni-
up and say Uyghurs.
The Uyghurs over there.
So let me address your jumping out of buildings, off of buildings statements, Suni, real quick. I'm not sure you're very familiar with the Foxconn and the chip manufacturers in China. They actually, this was 7-10 years ago or so, they had to start putting nets on the outside of their buildings because they were overworking their employees so much that they were just jumping off buildings. That was their solution. it is actually something that happens very frequently over there, unfortunately. And that is where it's not unreasonable to consider that people are doing that.
Casey, can I ask you a question though? So,
Yeah.
and you just brought up an interesting point. If they're on a full lockdown right now, and this, I don't know if it's only in Shanghai or is this it's starting to spread through China. Who's doing all
It's
the crazy
Shanghai
work?
and another city.
Well, it's the Shanghai province, which includes Shanghai and a couple other cities.
Yeah.
Thanks for the fancy pronunciation. So
I get it from Cole. He's asked about it.
So my question becomes, who, if this country is known for all the work that they do, who's doing it right now?
What do you mean work that they do?
Like,
What do you mean?
They work in factories. They work in all these things for 87 million hours a day. That's what they're, they've always. So if they're like, you've got little robots, tip, tip, tap, 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 going up the street. Who is doing the actual work right now?
That's what I said.
Ironically, that occurs mostly in Wuhan. That's the ironic part. Wuhan.
That's why I said that Americans need to pump the brakes on talking about this because you don't know what's going on there.
True.
And I'm not saying that what they're doing is right. I'm not saying that, but I think people should have learned their lesson from Ukraine. And well, I don't even know what's going on there. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really give a shit about what's going on in China because I'm American. We pay too much attention to other countries, and we don't pay enough attention to what's going on at home. Sorry.
So, no, Suni. All I was addressing was just giving you an example and giving everybody else an example that it's actually not unheard of for Chinese people to throw themselves off buildings. They do that over there.
My point.
And so it's not like here in America, you don't see that happening. But in China, it does happen.
I'm also looking at bags of cats and dogs being crammed together. And I think
that was pretty messed up.
And
too.
that's even confirmed by their government. They're literally saying they're rethinking whether or not to be killing the animals of owners that end up testing positive for COVID, which might I add, they have 0 deaths on this new COVID strain.
Well, so what's coming, you guys are aware that the party elections are this year, and the overwhelming intelligence says that Xi Jinping will not be reelected. So there's a lot going on. Suni, my whole point was just that, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that there's some pretty messed up stuff going on over there, but it's just China being China at this point. The Communist Party is losing its grip. I'm looking at it from the perspective of this is looking really good if you're waiting for the fall of communism, because when your party is 6% of your population and 94% is in the outgroup, it relies heavily on keeping that 94% at a baseline happiness where they don't want to revolt, and they're starting to drop below that baseline, and they are probably shaking in their boots right now a little bit.
Oh, we got power number. We coming for you.
I agree with that. And I think that's the whole thing that they're doing is instilling fear. How do you control people, right? You instill fear into people. And we'll get into
no longer get free nail done. He done. He gone.
That's Korean. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, my bad. I can't say all same thing. That's the only accent I know. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Joe and the Ghost Gun ban, as people probably hate me. All right, let's go ahead and talk about ghost guns. You guys have I talked about it on radio this morning in Wilmington. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give my first thoughts. I don't care. The ghost gun ban to me is not the worst thing in the world because it's about serial numbers. I don't mind tracking in some way. I get it, no compromise. But at the same time, this is the beginning of a multi-step process to take away guns, because the end of Biden's speech, which he talked about tobacco and prostitution and had no idea where he was by the end of it, he yelled the whole time. It was super awkward. He was like, "This is," and I'm like, he doesn't know where he's at. Cool. But the thing that he did talk about, he said, this is the beginning of more essential attacks on the Second Amendment. And that's where my issue is. Because again, I think some kind of registration on guns, I do think is semi-important, but at the same time, the people that do crimes don't give a shit about registration. They don't give a shit about universal back checks. That's the problem. Background checks. So who wants to educate me first on why this is so bad?
Let Kevin go so he can not interrupt the rest of us.
And then Did
you really say this is the first step in the process and you're okay with them taking the first step?
No, I said I'm okay with the step.
You did. No, he did say that.
He did. If this is a lone gunman, I'm also somebody that's always okay with universal background checks. Interestingly enough, So is the NRA president. He just said they don't do anything.
No, they're already in place here, and like you. All you have to do is introduce the liability. You say, hey, if you sell a gun to somebody who's a felon, you're liable for their actions. Boom, done. You end it. Because at the end of the day, you just have to incentivize the action. But when you say you can start, the government can start tracking homemade guns, how do they know when you have a homemade gun? What do they have to do to you to find out you have a homemade gun? Oh, are they going to break you down your door and force you to potentially use that homemade gun? No, you don't let them take a step, because every step the government takes is a step you never get back. And they've already taken enough of our... And you mentioned the NRA as if they're anything whatsoever.
They're not.
The National Gun Owners, the National Association for Gun Rights is responsible for getting constitutional carry in 25 states right now. And the NRA is responsible for allowing assault weapons to be banned, handguns to be held to 21 years old, and has done absolutely jack shit. So yeah, if we're going to let Joe Biden take that first step, that's a step we never get back. There is no compromise on the Second Amendment anymore whatsoever.
Okay. Got it.
So to echo a little bit on what Kevin was talking about is my statement I've said many times on these shows is you give the government an inch, they'll take a mile. Every time. They will always do it. So when it comes to 2A, that is why I stick to I'm not changing anything right now until I can trust you. Period. There is no reason for change, because the people that are doing these shootings and these illegal things, they don't have registered guns. So doing anything with a registered gun or forcing them to be registered is not going to change anything. The only thing you're going to do is handicap me. For example, I have a 3D printer sitting in that room in the corner over here. I would love to. I need to have the freedom in my country to be able to manufacture my own gun. As long as I'm not distributing it, I should be able to possess that weapon. Period. If I am distributing it, I should have to serialize it and register it. That is where the line gets drawn.
So go ahead. No, keep going. Keep going.
If you start moving that line, the government's going to take more. And we've been warned about this since 1776. Do not move this line. 2A shall not be infringed.
I get that. And I do have a hard line. And the problem is I do think you guys are right. I think that like once you give an inch, they take a mile. And this comment, we may all need ghost guns somewhere down the road. The thing is, I don't necessarily agree with that, because there's two different, the people that they say the ghost guns are going to prevent are the people like Sacramento, the shooting in Sacramento, or the New York City shooting today. It's got nothing to do with it. That's the problem. But the thing is, when it gets to the point where people need to make their own guns instead of the ones with the serial numbers, we have so many bigger problems at stake. And most of those people already have the guns they need to protect themselves as long as they possibly can from the government. I don't think alone the ghost gun ban is something that's the end of the world. What I do think is it's the beginning of the end. Let's see what that says.
Status.
Okay. Dude, your handwriting is worse than mine.
Yeah, status. Like a serial killer. But I get that you give an inch, they take a mile. That's the problem. But I think on its merit, I don't have a huge issue with ghost guns by itself. I just explained why. I think that anybody
gave the argument for gun bans.
You can produce your own guns. You can also still go buy a gun. You can still buy whatever you want.
You can take a piece of pipe and wood and make a gun.
Russo, I encourage you just to Google how to manufacture a gun. People do it out of the smallest stuff. Cap.
That's Cap, Russo. That's Cap, Russo. Hey, look. The government should not be infringing on our rights. The government should not be implementing any pieces of legislation that disturb a natural-born right that we have. We are allowed to have guns. In fact, I think we should have the same weapons that they have, because when you think about it, how the hell are we going to defend ourselves if this tyrannical government decides to go China? How? You know what? We can't, because they're putting so many rules and restrictions on every damn thing. Ghost guns should be the least of their worries. Go pay attention to the freaking border, bro. Like, go put a curb in that shit before worrying about some guns that don't affect criminals and they affect us as people.
Great.
That's just it.
Absolutely.
I agree.
We should
When
never.
did
we
I
should
say this?
Never.
I never
You
said
said
this.
it's not a big deal and you don't really care. You should care.
No,
Yeah.
I said, who put that in the? Who did that?
I
never
did
said
that. Of course I did that. That's what
Never
you
said
said.
that. Never said that. I said it's pointless because making things illegal means the people that are criminals are still going to do it anyways. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, it doesn't. There is no. It doesn't do anything.
Why make a law about it if it does nothing?
You criminalize.
I agree. Why did they have a whole friggin' press conference on the lawn? Him inviting people from whatever hook element, wherever they were, and he made a whole big deal of it. It's pointless. And like, you've got the shooting in Sacramento, and you got dumbasses like the head coach of Golden State. You got Steve Kerr going like, "This is a time where legislators need to stand up and they need to grow a backbone and have common sense gun control laws." Ignoring the fact that it's got nothing to do with gun control. It's got to do with the fact that we allow criminals to continue to criminalize streets. One of the shooters in Sacramento was, the district attorney said when they were letting him out 6 years early, they're like, he will continue to commit crimes. This is not somebody that we should let out. And then on top of it, they didn't monitor him. He had images with the gun that he used that day on social media. He went completely unchecked. That's the issue. If you want to fix the problem, that's the issue. And I agree with you. This gun control push is pointless. Now, do I have an issue, as I said, with would I say, does this look wrong to you? By itself, in a vacuum, ghost gun banned. Sure, I don't give a shit. But in the bigger picture, it is a huge problem. And that's where we all agree.
Yeah, I agree with you. Legislators do need to pay way more attention to actual, prison reform, because you're not rehabilitating them. You're institutionalizing them, which is why they come out and commit the same crimes they went to jail for.
That's what happens when
it's like a catch-22, right? I believe that when people serve their time and they are reformed, you'll never know when somebody's actually reformed until they're back in society. But I don't know. It's a multifaceted issue with the whole gun thing. And I think they're purposely ignoring the fact that they're not rehabilitating any of these felons, and they're just sending them back into the world to commit crime. And also, it's a prison, it's a high school to prison pipeline. This makes them money. They're not going to do anything or put any sort of dent in the things that make them money, because private prisons is a very lucrative business.
That it is.
So
Oh, sorry, Casey.
Go ahead, Casey.
When it comes to the gun stuff, so here's the thing. So how many people are put into prison for guns or gun possession, illegal gun possession, or some sort of criminal activity with guns?
At least 17 million.
17 million?
What's the question?
No, it's how many people are put into prison for illegal gun possession?
Oh, minimal.
It's nothing. It's like less than 1%.
Which really quick, Casey, to your point, I tried to, because I knew I'd talk about ghost guns today. I tried to look at how many crimes are committed by ghost guns. You can find out how many guns are confiscated that are ghost guns, but there's literally no crime statistics. So why is it such a big deal?
Why is it such a big deal from the government level of trying to enforce it, right? And get rid of them, is what you're saying.
Well, because right now, anytime someone buys a gun, they have to go through a background check, which at least creates some level of record about the instance.
Not necessarily.
We here in Colorado, we've caught sheriffs hoarding the data from background checks in their counties and stuff like that, and keeping records, which is illegal, mind you. They're not legally allowed. But the point I was going to make about it was, like, if you want to talk prison reform, we need people to be punished in equal proportion to the crime they commit. If you commit rape, I think you should be in prison forever. Like, yes. I don't like, we as a society, there is no level of society that says that crime is okay. At any point, there is zero excuse for someone doing it. You deserve to go to prison. Like, if you actually commit violent rape, you go to prison forever. But if you want to actually dish it out, the problem that we have is that we have prosecutors who are being elected by a certain Jorge Cropos, if you get where I'm going with that. We have him funding campaigns all across the country for weak DAs that are intentionally punishing people. The Bureau of Statistics says between 15 and 18% of criminals admit to using a gun in the commission of their crime, but it often gets pled down, it gets removed, so that they get lesser sentences attached to it. There should be no such thing as illegal possession of a gun. Either you send the felons to the prison for long enough for society to deem you have paid the crime for your action, or you've paid the time, at which point when they get out and choose to commit a crime again, we as Second Amendment bearing citizens should have the ability to defend ourselves from these criminals. That's the biggest problem is people. No, New York and California, two great places where nobody has the ability to defend themselves.
True. Yeah, that's why you moved to places like Texas and Florida would stand your ground, which I think is effective.
Colorado.
Whatever. The most freest state for 2A is Utah. No one talks about it, thankfully.
You guys can walk around like shit on your strap.
There's 25 states with constitutional carry, so those states are all.
What'd you say, Suni?
I said I have no rights here in Japan.
No.
Nope. And that's because Japan is racist.
So I think we all agreed, like, hey, the only thing that we disagree on is the importance of this bill. The importance of this bill to me, and what it seems like for the other three, other than Russo, is we're talking about how this bill actually is an initial step.
Yeah.
But I will take that back and say it's an executive order. It's not actual full law. So there is easy ways to repeal it. So
also, so it's not even it's not legislation.
No, yeah, no. It's
an executive order.
Okay.
But also it's about step number 5,000 in their series of steps to no guns, because I don't have a tank in my driveway.
That's what it's doing. You have to get the public on board before you just go off the bridge and say, "Hey, we're doing this."
Yeah,
I'm just saying there's a way back. Very easy way back.
The law that
needs to be passed. It's not a law.
Yeah, well, no, the law that needs to be passed is the military is only allowed to buy guns from the same places as civilians. The U.S. military can only purchase weapons available to the civilian public. That's it. Founding fathers would love that law.
I think that's
the last thing I'll say on it is Biden is so out of whack with like these speaking points. Talked about the fact that back in the original days when they came up with the Second Amendment, you couldn't own a cannon. Yes, you could.
Yep.
What? Who told him that?
He said it twice now. This is the second time he used that speaking point. Then he used the same stupid fucking story about, hey, man, I saw this guy hunting. And he looked at me and he's like, "You're trying to take my gun." And I'm like, "I'm not trying to take your gun, man. Why do you need so many bullets? Do the deer wear Kevlar?" I'm like, again, with this stupid joke about the deer wearing Kevlar. Who voted for you? God.
Yeah, he's really referring to Cheney and shooting off his friend's face when he was on TV.
You want to know who voted for Biden?
And then lastly, he talked the same speaking point that I critiqued him for. He talked about this one was mind blowing because then he literally contradicted himself immediately. He said gun companies are the only ones that don't have to face litigation. And then saying 30 seconds later, he goes, "And fortunately, there was a landmark case that was won against the gun manufacturers just a month ago." And it's like, bro, you just said that they can't face legal action. And then you just said that they lost their first case, and still completely ignoring the fact that Big Pharma is Teflon.
I was just going to say that. Like, where in the hell is Pfizer and all of that? Like,
imagine car companies being allowed to be sued because people get in accidents.
Yeah, that's weak, man.
No, I'm actually suing my spoon manufacturer for making me fat and eating too much ice cream.
I seen a decal on the back of a car, and it said, "Since guns kill people, pencils misspell, and spoons make you fat. So let's just ban all of it." Yep. I was cracking up when I saw that. It was hilarious.
That's pretty good.
Let's move.
No, but you said who voted for Biden, and I gotta put you on blast. Barack voted for Biden, and then he started watching me. Of course, he would be in my comment section annoying the shit out of me daily. And then finally he was like, "Damn it, Suni, you were right. I made a mistake," and I converted him. So hopefully he'll be voting on the opposite side. Although I think they're full of shit too. I still think you need to practice your rights to vote as Americans. But this guy, we can all say thank you to Barack. Give him a round of applause for putting Biden in office.
Who's Barack? Is Matthew Brown Barack?
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that. I was like, Suni, I don't know how they do things in Japan, but that says Matthew Brown.
I'm used to calling him Barack. I'm not used to calling him Matthew.
Oh, everyone know Barack.
Well, that's good shit.
I wonder if he has the Obama phone. I wonder if he's got the Obama
I have
phone.
to ask him.
Well, most of us have the Obamacare.
Most. I got that TRICARE.
Yeah, she's got
Hey,
the
you're a
lower end.
triceratops over there, Suni.
Let's see what I got. I'm trying to pull the story up because we're going to talk about the college allowing a cop killer, an ex-cop killer, to speak.
Once a cop killer, always a cop killer.
Oh, that's
So I think we might
disrespectful.
disagree on this. I don't know how I feel. I want to know more about the story. I do agree that obviously this is one of the most heinous crimes. It's right up there with, it is up there with rape. It is up there, but killing a cop. 1971 was a different era.
Where does it rank with killing a regular person?
I think in 1971, I don't think it's justified in any way, shape, or form ever to kill anybody, but it was a very different time is all I would say.
Do you think killing a black person is worse than killing a white person?
Nope.
I don't discriminate.
Oh, well, you discriminate against cops and regular people.
I just said I don't
Cops
know.
are regular people.
I was pushing back.
What'd you say, Suni?
She said cops are regular people.
I said cops are regular people.
Yeah.
They just wear a badge.
Today's the day I give bad faith arguments to Russo.
So the guy's, by the way, the guy's name was Anthony Bottom, which
He was a bottom.
I know why he had to change his name in prison. Let's be very clear.
You're the power bottom, aren't you?
Power Bottom.
Ugh,
He
all
changed
right,
his
let's
name to
knock it off.
Jaleel Muntakim. Jaleel Muntakim. Anyways,
Abdul Muntakim. It's a very black Hebrew Israelite.
Got it. Well, he was allowed to.
Or what is it? Nation of Islam.
I'm sorry, Richard. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Don't worry. It's Kevin still. He's the one interrupting. What was that called? The interrupting what? What was that one thing? Interrupting. It's like a kid's thing.
Cow.
Interrupting cow. Moo. Yeah. It's interrupting Kevin. What I think. So this guy, he spoke at SUNY SUNY Brockport to rescind about speaking to the students. I don't really know the topic. I should probably know more about it. I'm trying to learn as we go here. But he essentially talked about being a political prisoner. They allowed him to speak. Do you think a school should allow a person that was convicted in 1971, let out on parole, to speak at a university? Oh,
Yeah, he can teach them something.
we all agree.
Yeah.
Anybody
Absolutely.
disagree?
I think it depends on the topic.
All right.
I mean, if he's a groomer,
I
probably.
think ex-felons are.
I-
And shout out to Craig Long and Pastor Brian. Love those two guys. They're ex-felons. Went to jail for attempted murder or egregious charges, but they have a platform in a conservative world. I think when people show promise and actual change, and they should be able to speak wherever, and a lot of people can learn from them. They've gone through the system. They've gone through prison. They know what it's like.
Yeah, I see there's value there. Absolutely. On speaking on where they came from and stuff like that, like especially when we're talking about the streets and stuff like that. But just to speak from another world, I have a friend, that's a really close friend, that is a former alcoholic that got into drugs and all of that stuff in Oakland. And he is now 25 years sober and goes to AA meetings all the time and is a sponsor for a lot of people and speaks very highly to be able to encourage them to better themselves. And so, yes, I see that you can do that, but I don't see in some topics it's a good idea for him to be speaking to, because he doesn't actually know that world. As long as he's speaking on how he bettered himself and how people can be better in their world, I see that beneficial for sure.
Yeah. There should be no reason why a university does not have someone speaking, because at the end of the day, if we agree on a marketplace of ideals, if we agree on free speech, that means we hear everyone. And if somebody wants to invite someone to their university, even if it's to voraciously disagree with them, they should be allowed to do it, because that's what free speech is. The price you pay with free speech is hearing things you don't want to hear. That is the price you have to pay for it. And if you're unwilling to pay that price, then you're going to lose your free speech. No, you have to be willing to hear things you do not feel comfortable with, things that will offend you, or you will lose your free speech. Thoughts and actions are two separate categories, and I think we all agree with it. But I did want to point out the Nikki she shared, or not that one. In Indiana, she says it's automatic death penalty if you kill a cop. That's what I'm talking about. They treat him as a special person. Why not doctors? Why not nurses? Why not teachers? Why not?
I agree with you there.
Why
100%, Kevin.
Why isn't it just automatic death if you kill someone? Like,
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna disagree on that. Just because I think when you have a position of upholding the law, and how important that is for them to, because what the ramifications on not having a little protection, it's just kind of like in a way the rules on the quarterback in the NFL. It changes the game if they are tackled illegally. Although I do think it's a little pity pat in the NFL, but this isn't life or death. In the situation of police officers, if it becomes less of an offense and you've got criminals that don't really care who they kill, you're looking at a more of a dystopian world that people are no longer abiding by the law. And those police officers then will act in accordance of that, which means they will continue to have an itchy trigger finger. They will act before trying to community police. And I think there is ramifications on not putting more of a punishment on a cop killer.
Why should we penalize killing a normal person any less than we would penalize killing a cop? Why are we not just trying to disincentivize murder? Like, oh, it's bad to kill, but it's extra bad to kill a cop. Why not a doctor? If it's an emergency room doctor, should we punish that one? They're saving lives every single day. What if it's just an MD or just a physician or a PA that's helping people? I mean, teachers save lives. What about the teacher that's really good at talking kids off the cliff?
And I agree. I think murder should be punished at a very, very high level, but I do think there is a difference between killing a police officer and a police officer and a teacher, because of the long-term ramifications of what happens when police are more and more in fear of their life.
Why not? If your goal is to incentivize punishing cops less, so you punish it severely, why not use that same punishment? Why not disincentivize killing everybody as voraciously as you're going to disincentivize killing a cop?
Just make it a death penalty across the board. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, the state, when somebody chooses to take an innocent person's life, they are agreeing to the consequence of their action. And when you take another life, you are agreeing to sacrifice yours. You should, if you are convicted of first-degree murder, it should be death, no question about it.
And I agree with Deborah's statement. I 100% agree.
As long as there's concrete evidence or you admit guilt, like that's the biggest problem. Is there are people that are sitting in jail that are shot somebody or for attempted manslaughter or something like that, and they actually didn't do it. There are some people out there. As long as we have concrete evidence of guilt, like they admitted to guilt, or there is concrete evidence that they were there, then it should be you should be going through the guns, going through that slaughter.
And I to specify, I do agree with Deborah. One life is not worth more than another. I'm saying the ramifications are different. So that's why if they were to level the differences, if one were to be the difference between life in prison and death penalty, the reason I would put, if there was a level, I would put I would put it above, is because of the fact that I think the ramifications are different. But that does not mean a police officer's life is worth more. I think it's a more macro look at what happens to society. I agree with both of you guys, however, and Barack, that and Matthew, Brown, Barack. Anyways.
You believe all lives matter?
Yes.
So you believe pedophile lives matter?
Oh, yeah, I do believe that they matter. I do believe that. Until
they matter, and then
there is a crime committed,
and they no longer matter.
I don't believe all lives matter. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all.
All lives matter at one point. All lives matter at one point.
Every American citizen deserves the right to due process.
There you go.
Not if you're a child killer or a child.
You have to go through the process to
still have to prove that they did it.
Yeah.
Hey, fine. But that, I mean, it still applies even without your caveats. People provide caveats and context so that they don't look bad.
That's not a caveat. That's a right.
It is, though.
It's a God-given right in our country.
I think it's kind of it's like a duh moment. Like, okay, of course we want to know that they did it for sure, but all lives don't matter, because when you do that, your life no longer matters. So providing a caveat to say, well, we have to prove that they did it first and they have to do it first, doesn't negate the fact that all lives don't matter. They don't matter.
I got you.
Yeah.
Before we go, and the other thing on this one, I do think it's important to note the era. I mentioned that in the beginning, 1971. There was a lot of asshole police officers that were racist and did not treat black criminals fairly. I think, and we do. I think we live in a very different world now.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is what 1970. This is 50 years ago.
Well,
so I think that does need to be taken into account. I'm fine with him speaking there. They took away his payment for speaking there. I'm okay with that. I don't really care. But the fact that there's conservatives that can't speak on college campuses, Alan West was just accosted. Like, this is this is a veteran. This is somebody that has done nothing truly wrong to people visibly in his whole entire life. And he was just speaking on conservatism and got literally ran out of the building by liberals, the same people that would support a cop killer speaking. That's the problem with silencing somebody like Anthony Bottom, is you are then opening it up. But now we have the moral high ground to say, how can you let that and then not let that? Let's move on. Federal Appeals Court. Suni, I'll let you talk a little bit about this one. Federal Appeal Court. Why can't I say that? Federal Appeals Court reinstates the vax mandate for federal employees. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know how they took it? They took it back and they're like, all right, guys, we're not going to force you to get this. This is around the time when the whole Canadian Convoy thing was happening and the American Convoy was happening. And they just decided to reinstate it. Biden administration went back to the Court of Appeals and they reinstated it. So now they're mandating federal workers to get a shot. The only reason I brought this up and it's not a I told you so moment. It's just like a cautionary tale for people to really pay attention to what's going on in their country versus somewhere else. Because Canada didn't cause the rest of the world to lift mandates. And I know that's what a lot of people were saying. Well, they saw those people stand up. Look, they are literally pandering and getting ready for midterms. And now they did it on the sneak, didn't broadcast it everywhere for the Americans to realize, like, well, dang, they are actually requiring federal mandates. And who knows if that'll trickle down to the states, because you see certain states implementing mask mandates again, or cities. I'm sorry. You got that in Philly going on. Talks in New York going on. So we haven't won the battle because we're not, and I'm being super honest. I don't think that we are really proactive in paying attention to what's going on. Most people were like, what the hell is this? When I posted it on Instagram, they had no clue. Well, I know you have no clue because your head's so far up Ukraine's ass. You have no clue what's going on in your own country. Your head's so far up China's ass that you don't even know that these mandates are here. So the only thing I can say is pay attention, because they're doing whatever they want to do while we're distracted by other things. And this is the thing. I think more people should press their states right now while they have the time to do so, states and cities, to make sure it doesn't happen where they're at.
No, that's
valid. I think you kind of summed it all up there. I mean, we quietly loudly COVID has gone away, but for some unknown reason, there's a lot of people again, quote unquote, getting COVID again.
Yeah, we have COVID.
What's that?
We have COVID.
You have COVID right now.
Yeah.
Wait, did you test positive for COVID?
We didn't get tested, but there are cases ramping up in my children's school, and the first person to come home sick was my son. My daughter got sick, then I got sick. Now we're all sick, and we all have fevers and a cough, and we have to quarantine. So, but I'm fine. Do you see me alive? I'm not coughing. The most I have is a fever and a headache.
Suni, beware. COVID kills black people.
Yeah. If you were in Shanghai, you wouldn't have children or pets anymore.
You would also have drones flying around telling you to close your windows and doors.
Yeah.
I did see that video.
Oh, dude, it's wild. But what's going to happen is, first, the Republicans are probably going to reach about 53, 54 seats in the Senate. They're probably going to take back the House. And then you're going to hear the excuse of Joe Biden stopping all the legislation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 2024, though, because things are still going to be really bad, because Joe Biden's still appointing all the people in the Fed that's going to continue to print the freaking money, all this other stuff that's going on. And then 2024, it looks like Republicans are going to mollywop and could potentially have a super majority in the Senate.
It looks scary for any opposing anybody that's opposing Republicans right now for 2024.
Whoa!
Anybody.
But what's
you
going to
think-
happen? Oh, I was going to say they're not going to do anything. They're still
No.
not going to do anything. 'cause
Yeah, I
they're
was
the
just gonna ask
establishment.
that. Like, do you
Yeah.
guys think? Because everybody's like a red wave. Do you honestly think that things are gonna change when Republicans have the majority in both the Senate and the House?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
You do?
I will say that, but I will say why
Okay.
I say there's going to be change.
Okay.
So if we understand what Republicans are very capitalistic people, right? So they usually want jobs. They usually want people to be doing work. They want people to be busy and doing those things. So I see that part's going to be promoted and built up. And so you will see more of that change. You will also see some less supply chain issues under Republicans than you would be on the left side. But what I see happening is we're going to flip so hard. We're going to flip that book so hard to the red side that we're going to forget. And then we're going to flip really hard back to the blue side is what I see happening. But Republicans, yes, will I see a change? I do believe we will see a change because they promote more of the capitalistic society that we live in than the Democrats do.
So you think the pendulum is just gonna swing?
Oh, hard.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
super hard.
Well,
I think the federal, I think the thing is they'll allow states to continue to do their job, and all we're just going to keep seeing is more state laws. I think we're going to see less federal mandates, which again, mandates aren't laws anyways. It honestly, it depends a lot what Republicans get in. It's not.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend. I mean, you can have Mitt Romney all day, and guess what? You're going to get the same old thing.
He's out in 2024. You guys can take.
I do
my
have
commitment.
some.
I will take that
pushback for you
home.
guys, though.
He is
I do
gone
have
in
some
2024. What is that?
So,
Jared.
how many people here think there's going to be a red wave? All of us, or just a few
Yeah.
of us?
In what election? 2022 or 2024 or both?
We'll throw in 2022.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because we're right here.
Then I say yes.
I think red wave. What happened to election fraud and integrity? How are you going to have that red wave when nothing has changed?
That's a good question.
Go ahead. Oh, Kevin, I keep talking. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's the sheer numbers are unassailable on this one, unfortunately for them. The problem is if you're going to try to commit fraud on that level, the election has to be close. And in despotic countries where this occurs, they get away with it because they also have the backing of every aspect of the state on their side. They don't have that. They don't have that here. You have to, if you're going to commit that kind of fraud, it has to be a very close election. We're looking at it's a mollywhopping of epic proportions. People will realize that their district should be going red. People know these things. Where it would be noticed is on the House level. If the House is where you see any fraud happening, that is going to be incredibly noticeable, and that's going to send the messages up the rest of the chain.
Yeah, and to echo a little bit of what Kevin's saying, like the reason why I asked specifically 2022 and 2024 is 2022, I think, is going to be the precursor and just kind of give us a glimpse of what to expect. And it's already leading up by the primaries that are set, even here in Utah, and what some of the other people are talking about. Well, not even talking about. People are dropping out of the elections here in Utah before primaries even kick in June. And that they're dropping on the left side like no other. They just see they don't have a chance.
It's like 30 Democrats
weird.
retired.
That's why I'm saying it's going to go hard one way and then hard back. I don't see it staying that way. But Dr. Oz, Tracy mentioned, he can shove it, in my opinion. I don't understand how
Did you
he's
just
still
scratch your hat, Russo?
An itch.
I have an itch. But
the interesting part too is the demographics in America. We are going to have Gen Z is actually noticeably smaller than the rest. Normally, Tim Pool was actually talking about it. Normally, the youngest generation is the biggest generation, but that is not the case right now. And it is also the case that the older you get, the more conservative you get. And so what you're going to see is the pendulum is the Democrats really messed up, because here's the reason why demographics used to be destiny. Because back in the day, the Democratic Party still had enough conservative values that especially Mexican immigrants did not feel guilty voting Democrat. Because Mexicans are that is one of the most Catholic places on mother frickin' earth. right? And they're very conservative by nature. They are not fans of abortion. They are not fans of the destruction of the nuclear family. They are very conservative. And a lot of Black communities are also conservative. They just don't really recognize it. But Mexican communities are very cognizant of that. More and more of the Black communities are starting to see, what is the difference. But the Democratic Party, by kicking out all the conservatives in their own party, has paved the way where you're going to start seeing, especially in the Black and brown communities, a much higher rate of voting for Republicans. That's going to make it a lot more difficult. No, you already saw it in the most recent election. And it's
there was no massive increase.
It was when you see 7, 8, 9% swings in a single election, that's massive. That's a really large demographic shift. The 50% more Black people voted conservative in this election than the election beforehand.
50%
more.
You really believe that?
Yeah, it went from 9 to about 14, 15. That's a 50% increase.
Come on, man.
No,
make sure you're listening to the numbers. And again, there's Powers line statistics. He's not saying 50% of Black people.
Oh, I get it.
50% more. So it went from 9 to 14. That's incredibly accurate. Across the board, it's still only, what is that, 6%? What would you say, 9 to 14? So 5% of the voting public, which is a completely...
But if you see 50%, if you see another 50% increase, you're talking 20%. And then you're talking 30%. So...
And
I think this
we'll just see. Go
ahead, Casey.
2022 is going to just set the stage for everybody, right? Like we're going to have to see, but it's already pacing. Like look what happened in Texas, and the Republicans showing up to vote versus Democrats. It was significant. We're seeing here in Utah, just in switch of registration, because you can't vote in the primaries unless you're registered as a Republican or Democrat for those parties. I can't because I'm registered as unaffiliated. But there is so many people switching parties here in Utah. We're going to see a significant change in Utah's behavior, which gives me confidence because Salt Lake was starting to turn blue. Salt Lake City was starting to go blue, which would change our entire state.
Yeah. Well, you also look at Pennsylvania. They actually have some numbers to it. It's 4-1. Republicans switching to Democrat or Democrats switching to Republican versus the opposite. The Republicans, I'll give them credit. They've launched a grassroots operation that actually could match the Democrats or exceed them. They have voting registration at gas stations across the country right now. And that's one of the smartest voter registration drives you could imagine in this moment.
Is it on the gas pump? Do you just hit before you punch in your PIN code or zip code?
Let me pose an important question real quick, because I said this at the end of the presidential election. I said, there's going to be timing to this swing.
Sure.
And although shit has completely hit the fan in this country, I think the worst is still yet to come.
Yes, it is.
So let me.
We still have a year to go through, dude.
But let me I guess in terms of when they take office, but let me just play devil's advocate, because this is what I saw. I said, you know what? If Trump loses, I want it to go all blue. Let it go all blue. Let them burn themselves to the ground, so that we can see, so that it's obvious to the American public and a red wave happens. But I thought that it would be a slow process that would take us to 2024. I said, if it happens too early and we switch, they're going to blame all of the fallout on what is starting right now. So if we have a blue president, obviously that'll stay. And then we've got a red everything else. Anything that doesn't get done, or the things that do get done, it might be too late. And we're going to see, and I think Suni touched on this earlier, we're going to see 2023 be a complete dumpster fire of a year, because it can't be fixed that fast. And all of the left is going to go, see, we at least had it better. And I think there's some danger in that. And then likewise, if say it somehow miraculously for the left, it gets split and the House goes red, Senate goes blue, and it becomes a split, they're going to blame everything on the fact that the right is stopping legislation, and that's why they can't get anything done. I think it's dangerous across the board. I don't think there's anything to celebrate. I think it needs to get done. There needs to be a red wave, but I think it's going to provide ammunition for the left to then win the presidency again in 2024 with whoever they replace Joe Biden with. I think there's some dangers there.
Well, what's the best tool in the arsenal to combat the inflation right now? Raising interest rates.
Interest rates, yep.
So that is always under Joe Biden's control. And that's the problem he's going to be running into. If inflation is your problem, The solution is him in that regard. It's his appointees to the Federal Reserve. And that's what's going to get him, because they can't blame inflation on the Republicans when they have that tool, because as soon as Republicans win, Fed's going to raise interest rates up through the freaking roof to stop the inflation. And it's actually going to stop the inflation, but it's going to get painful.
Well, and that's what's going to happen. The Fed rate goes up to an astronomical amount. People stop being able to buy new homes, and then people that have put house values are going to drop. They're going to plummet, and then we're going to have this massive housing crisis.
And I'll be ready to buy.
Hey,
everything will level out. We have to go through some pain. Like you said.
I get it, but I'm not saying that it's. I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is they are going to find a way to blame it on the Republicans if the Fed rate rises.
We are all smart enough. All the people watching this and us on this panel, we are all smart enough to understand the government will never take accountability. They will always point fingers to the other side at all times, right? They will always do that. They will never take accountability, and the Fed 100%. But if we can't switch it to where we can enable people to be able to make the money that they need and our economy to get back to what it was when Trump was here in office, that is what we need to get. That's our first big step. That is just like what we talked about on the executive order for guns. That's our first big step to move in a positive direction. And I think that's what we're talking about, is we need to do that. And 2022 is a first one to do that. First step. And then 2024, we can keep pushing or change it and pivot if we have to. But the problem is also, just to call not anybody on this panel out or the viewers, but it's ignorance of the American people of actually being engaged. That is where we get stuck in this situation, is we don't elect the right people. So Tracy mentioned, are we going to talk about Dr. Oz? Yeah. Why is Dr. Oz leading the polls and leading Pennsylvania right now? It's because he's a big name. And he's just selling you on being a big name. We have to stop doing that, but we have to educate everybody. But that's the stuff that we have to start working towards and talking about. It's not that red is right or blue is right. It's that we have to make sure we're doing the right thing for our country and doing where we're currently sitting. How do we make those adjustments?
It's so hard to discern who's good and who's bad, though. I like Amy Coney Barrett, perfect example. She's looking like a liberal judge.
She is. We all had concerns of her in the first place. Yeah. I had concerns with her, but I was like, what else am I going to push back and tell them not to do it and then go find some liberal one? But fine.
Yeah. So this is the point of the show. I really quick want to mention, obviously I've talked a little bit about it. There's the Special Olympics kid, and it turns out when I did that video the other day, there's a lot of parents that just kind of let it happen. But if you are unvaccinated as a Special Olympics youth, young adult, whatever, most of your local games are not allowing you to play, which I think is absolutely absurd. But this one is a story about a kid named Rio Lance. He's autistic, and he won the ability to be a delegate for California in the Olympics in Orlando, by the way. It's in Florida, where it's, the land of the free. And they were promised in December, when they checked the box for unvaccinated, that it was just to get a gauge on numbers. And then as of February, they were told that he can no longer represent his state, his country, as a delegate unless he got vaccinated, and gave a bunch of options. And they tried to first do a religious exemption. They did not accept it. He then tried to do a medical exemption, and the dad had a really interesting video. He goes, it's impossible to actually get a medical exemption based on their paperwork. And he said, you know why? It asked for the ingredient in the vaccine that the child or the young adult has a reaction to. We don't know the ingredients. We still don't know the ingredients on this shot. There is no ingredients that are fully listed. So they've made it physically impossible. So if you guys could, I'm going to put this in the chat box. Go ahead and reach out and send a voicemail. I have send an email, whatever you want to do. Here it is right there. It's in the comment box on all the different pages. So there's the email, the phone number's on there. I've left a voicemail. The kid's name is Rio. The gentleman's name is Rio Lance. His father is Christopher Lance. And this is a precedent situation, because this is apparently happening to a lot of special needs parents. So just letting that out there again, this is happening in our own country. This is like the biggest issue that a kid with autism or any disabled child needs is, oh, I'm sorry, you can't take an experimental, you can't do something unless you take an experimental jab after everything you've gone through in your life. Awesome. Cool. All right. Moving on. Let's go SCOTUS next. Do you think this was a good move?
No, I don't support
be
people that
confirmed?
support pedophiles. No.
What do you think, Suni? I'm going to talk about the pedophile thing because I think there's a lot of reasons why she was a stupid choice. But go ahead, Suni.
Sorry, stretching.
Right.
I don't think it's a good idea because she was chosen off of her skin color. She wasn't chosen for her work. I don't think she has that much experience. Even I think it was either defending or prosecuting cases. I think it's just overall dumb. It's dumb to pick someone because they're black. And I think it was a horrible choice because of how lenient she is on the pedophile issue. I think it was completely stupid that she said she wasn't smart enough to determine what a woman is because she's not a biologist. And this is the person who's going to be making calls for us as American citizens and what's right and what's not based on the Constitution. I don't think I heard anyone ask her questions based on the Constitution. Now, I could be sadly mistaken, but a lot of what they talked about was SJW bullshit. That doesn't fucking matter. None of that matters. So I'm going to say it was a horrible pick. And not because she's black, but because she is unqualified, just like Kamala Harris. They're not qualified to be doing this job.
Stop buying the idea that she doesn't know what a woman is. She 100% knows what a woman is. She was trying to get out of it, and in her attempt to get out of it, this is how convoluted their entire belief system is. In her attempt to get out of answering the question, she said gender was biological, so she knows what a woman is, right? So it's more that she is a proponent of their critical theory. She is a critical theorist at her core. They did ask her certain questions related to legal theory, and she is a critical theorist. I think she's unqualified, not because she doesn't know what she's doing, but because she knows exactly what she's doing. She's an activist. She's in there to try to get the first of many appointees like her on the left. She is the prototype for what the left will be appointing to the bench from here on out, because she is 100% an ideological activist for the critical race theorist, critical gender theorist people.
Casey?
Like I said, I don't like, just in the decisions that I read on the pedophile stuff, I don't like her position on that. I think she was not fair. And she was leaning to supporting pedophiles. And I'm not for that at all.
My biggest issue is the fact that I think an activist should not be a Supreme Court justice. That's not the role of the Supreme Court. When you talk about the pedophilia stuff, I do think some of it was spun a little bit out of control because I think she was, in a lot of her cases, she was making landmark decisions on the new world of tech combined with child pornography. I disagree with her rulings. She made because of a couple of different reasons. She used the reference of, well, in this day and age, if it just pops up on your computer, it's not the same way as actually actively going to find child pornography magazines. However, the people that she went light on didn't just have a couple images on their computer. They had hard drives.
Like
so
thousands
of pictures. So it didn't match up with that. So I thought that was a huge problem. Actively choosing to not answer what a woman was shows her position for the future of ruling on the Supreme Court, which is not a place of middle ground. That is a 100% activism and bias. And I use the reference of RGB all the time. She is a liberal judge. I disagreed with a lot of her positions, but she based her decisions still on the Constitution of the United States of America. And I think she was a great judge because of that. You do have to have a little bit of liberal, a little bit of conservative. This is the opposite. This is a straight up activist trying to be put on court or on the court. And I talked to Cash earlier. Cash is like, she looked like she was really qualified. That's what we saw. She looked like she had a lot of, I don't see the qualifications. I don't see why she was put in the position. And this is where Amy Coney Barrett, whatever the friggin' name is, she was a woman, required to be a woman. That's what Trump said. This is a black woman. That's what Biden said. And again, who cares? Get the best person for the job. And it turns out neither of these two people are really it. Barrett has disappointed me, to say the least.
Yup. Of course she has. Here's the thing is you can tell the problem with conservative judges is the most conservative judges are the ones that literally read the Constitution and go, that's what it says. If you had the perfect Supreme Court, it would be nothing but strict constitutionalists because that's what it's supposed to be. Anybody who interprets beyond what the words of the Constitution say is being an activist, because then you're going, well, what I think is they meant this, and what I think is what they meant that. And as soon as you start impugning motive on individuals, you can justify anything you want, especially when they're not there to defend their decisions. All you're supposed to do is read what that document says. When it says any rights not expressly given to the government in this document here are given to the states or the people. That means that if the government's coming up with a new law and it is not the federal government and it is not something expressly mentioned in the Constitution, even if it's cell phones, guess what? The whole point was as new things come up, states will handle it themselves. Anything beyond what the Constitution says is an activist and should be gone, should never be allowed on the bench.
I love that. It's not supposed to be about how they think. That's the best way to describe it. It's not how they think. It's how they are able to interpret the Constitution for the United States of America. That's plain and simple.
No,
and that doesn't just apply to them. That applies to every politician that exists too.
Well, I somewhat disagree on that. There's a difference between a judge and a politician, I think.
No, a politician represents you. It's not what they think.
Right, but they should express what they believe and what they think, and then that's
what but that is not they're not representing their constituents. When you say they, when you say that's what I think or they think or what they're doing, that is not representing their constituents.
You know what that's called? It's called a democracy.
Truth. All right. We got just 2 more stories left, and then we can wrap it up. Let's see. Dog food and baby formula shortage. I think we also can throw chicken issue into there as well. I think it's interesting that there's not chicken futures because you've got the new avian flu going around and they're killing millions of chickens, which somebody, I don't remember who it was, one of our followers sent me this about a month ago and said, heads up, chickens are going to be a problem. And then here we are killing a bunch of chickens.
It just ended up on our local news this morning that
chickens?
There's an egg shortage.
Really?
Yep.
Ain't no egg shortage here.
There ain't no egg shortage at my house. My 10 chickens lay a lot of eggs, so we're good.
I need to buy chickens.
That was your takeaway. Awesome. So you said you also couldn't get dog food. You couldn't get dog food anywhere, Casey?
No, the dog, you can't change a dog's food overnight.
It's a problem.
You can't. And so I went to Costco, like the biggest store, right? And I went to go buy my dog's dog food, which I'm a prepper by nature in that world as I store stuff. I have 3 bags of dog food, so I'm okay. But when I got there, and I have a picture, matter of fact, I should actually post it. I'm going to send it to you in Slack real quick, Russo, if you want to bring it up.
Why don't you just put it up?
Because it's on my phone is my problem.
So you send it to yourself, genius. You're the tech wizard. And then you
throw it up
in the chat.
Almost.
Fine. I'm trying to pass the responsibility onto you. But
delegate these nuts. All right. So we're having. Did you like that, Sunny? You woke up on the D's nuts joke.
Woke up on D's nuts? What?
My husband would serve you, Russo.
Cap. Okay.
What? I don't know.
Did I use that wrong?
Russo's like
Cap.
You used it right. Cap is like, yeah, you're lying. That's please, Cap.
Oh, is that line? Okay, so I definitely used it wrong. Yeah.
You're white, Russo.
No cap is
Russo is white.
No cap. No cap.
So we're hearing cat food as well. Like, are you guys going to different stores, or is it? I mean, because again, I know there's a shortage. We have, obviously, but is it? Are we in dire straits yet? I don't think we are.
I don't know.
Let me show you this picture.
You live in Japan, of course. You don't know Sunny.
Yeah, but we get all our stuff from America. Everything that we get shipped here comes straight from America on the ship. And
Yeah,
there's no shortage here.
She goes to the
Do we
commissary,
trade
which
like
is U.S.
American bases get food in exchange? We get like young Vietnamese like people.
Hey.
Kevin,
Hey, when you
need
go to a
help.
Japanese restaurant over there, they just call it a restaurant.
Okay, I'm sharing the screen.
Me?
I'll show it. So right here,
Nothing.
you can see they're limiting to 1 bag per customer. But
Capitalism sucks.
Usually there's 3 or 4 different flavors of dog food in here. There's a yellow one, usually is the biggest stacked where this IAMS is. And this is all gone and limited, and I can't get a hold of the one that I feed my dogs.
I got a question for you all when you're done talking, Casey.
And so it's weird. When I went into Costco, I was like, what? Like, what is going on here? I didn't realize this was a thing, but apparently it is a thing.
The dog eat dog world. Suni, what were you gonna say?
So when they say, "Oh, there's a food shortage," I think it's bullshit. I think it's just another way for them to scare the shit out of people into whatever they're doing, because there's not a general consensus for there to be a food shortage, right? Here's my question: who's determining who can't? Like, how are these companies deciding how there's a food shortage? Maybe I didn't word it right, but like, a food shortage where? Like, are companies not producing enough, or are trucks not delivering enough? Like, where does the food shortage come in? Is what I'm trying to.
Your
like I said,
your manufacturing process takes time, right? So when you're manufacturing this stuff and you shut down for COVID, you won't see a shortage or anything like that right away. It's going to take some time to go through stockpile of what it currently exists. And so this is a result of that. We also went through the same thing with plastic. For example, Gatorade couldn't get bottles to be able to supply Gatorade to stores here in Utah. This was 6 months ago. And so it became issues because part of the manufacturing process was not declared non-essential, declared essential. So those businesses had to shut down in those states.
Yeah.
And so we're now seeing the effects of it. Now, chickens and the eggs, that's a whole different thing because of the avian flu, I believe. I don't see that as anything like that. But when we're seeing this other stuff that's building up, I see it as it's a result of what we just went through for the last 2 years.
Well,
And shutting down states and not realizing the full impact of it.
Kevin, then go ahead. Then I'm gonna go.
Yeah. So this is a capitalist food shortage. So like, we're not actually going to run out of food. It's just because like if a food shortage in a non-capitalist system, you're seeing like the Holodomor or China or Cambodia or any of those or Venezuela. We're getting a capitalist food shortage where there's just, because we're at a shortage of laborers. We're starting to get back up, but you know,
that's where I was going with it.
Yeah,
it's an illusion. Like, people think food shortage, we don't have any food. It's an illusion.
There's plenty of tools.
Food shortage. Exactly. So, it's
are you guys aware?
Resource.
Yeah, I know, and you're correct. And are you guys aware of like the ethanol program that exists where we burn a lot of arable food land for that? The United States government pays farmers to burn a significant amount of their food. So like, if we're ever in dire straits, like every year we produce more than we need. And we produce more than the government allows. And a lot of farmers end up burning it. So like, if they're smart, because let's put it this way, the last thing the Democrats want, if you want to guarantee a red wave, you don't want make a food shortage actually occurring going into the midterms, because that people do not, but like, people can get by with like, you know, houses becoming too expensive, cars getting more expensive, but we're in America. We die because we're fat, not because we're hungry. All right.
Right.
Like, that will get people actually.
And I think it's an illusion. I remember when, and I think it comes, and it comes from Biden. Biden was the left is, well, we're going to have to just step back on the food shortages. I remember I was at the gym. One TV is showing Biden talking about food shortages. The other TV is the Food Network, Man versus Food. And we have such a gluttonous amount of food in this country. Now I get that it's not good. It's not what we should expect out of this country and not have full shelves, but no one is going hungry. there's a selection down, and I think the selection is down by choice because it gives just enough fear to the people. Like the lumber going up in price. There wasn't a shortage in lumber. They were holding it back in fear of there being a shortage in lumber. So they're able to control pricing and still give the illusion that there's a problem. But people are afraid and they talk about it. It's bait for the left and the right. And then at the end of the day, when they get to the grocery store and they see that there's a couple empty shelves or 1 week it's bad, they take pictures and they freak out, but it's back the next week. It plays with the psyche of an American to where it's an issue, but it's not that big of an issue. And there's a little bit of fear behind it. And I think it's a very delicate balance. I don't think it's ever going to be a big issue, a major issue. Cause I see a guy eating 72 pounds of a pastrami eating challenge on a TV show, and we think we live in at a risk of being without. I think that there is just a little bit of a game being played on the American people.
I don't disagree with you. I think you could be on point there. The part that I am saying is when we're talking about shortages, I'm not saying we're out, but it's weird that we're seeing these trends of these random items just coming up short, and we have to start talking about it. If no one talks about these things, then we will never come to a solution.
They are talking about it.
But you're referring to the media, but I'm saying we have to talk about it and bring in light real good things about it, which is the solid facts, which, by the way, is what I was just going to bring up, what Tracy put in. Who knows what the trucker convoy did actually to this shortage, because they had an impact on moving things around across the country. So that's where it's not a shortage of food. No, we're not going to be Venezuela and going after everybody and trying to have the purge pretty much. But we're seeing these weird shortages in certain places that we just need to be aware and be ready and prepared. That's all you need to do.
What people need to realize is the last country that will be, every other country that gets anything from us will be without long before we are. And it's just about shifting the supply line so that if we don't have enough to give it to America plus 15 other countries, well, we start cutting other countries off that list. And then America's always going to be the last one that's without.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't disagree with that.
All right. Under 2 hours. We've got Don
Kevin,
Jr.
You killed it.
I know, right? Don Jr. is the new scapegoat to try to get away from the Hunter Biden laptop story, because there's apparently text messages between John Jr. and Mark Meadows that he had a plan he had a way of overturning the election, which I don't understand is necessarily a bad thing when you work for Donald Trump. When you're trying to figure out what was wrong with what they believe is wrong with the election, I don't think that's a bad thing. But anyways, so that's how they've decided to start to ignore the Hunter Biden laptop, which continues to get worse and worse by the day. And now the text messages to his daughter saying, if you do X, Y, Z, at least you won't have to give half to me like I had to do to Pop. We're starting to push the envelope further and further, taking away the fact that there's pornography, drug use, etc. on there. What is there? I love that people are like, yeah, but did you see what Don Jr. said? Which is exactly what I called. I was like, let's be honest. At the end of the day, these people are gonna freak out about something that Don Jr. would do that's so minuscule in comparison. Do you think the Don Jr. offense is anywhere, shape, or form comparable to Hunter Biden?
No. Hunter Biden took bribes from Chinese officials and Ukrainian officials. No, it's not. Hunter Biden, God, no.
Anybody else?
It's a hard no for me. I don't know. I don't think it needs much of an explanation.
That's silly. All they could come up with.
Silly. I remember the Celine Dion video, Stoonie. Which one are you talking about?
The kids unisex thing.
Yeah.
Clothing line.
Kids, did I miss that? Where was that?
It's in the chat.
We talked about it last night. Well, yeah, yes, last night for me.
Oh, it wasn't in the sorry, I didn't have it in the notes.
And the women coming out against Leah Thomas. because
Oh, that swimmer one. I'm sorry. I left that one out. Let's see if I can grab it. Let me grab it real quick. Does anybody want to talk about it first?
Suni.
I just think it's good that women are speaking out, and I think this puts a lot of conservatives' feet in their mouth when they're like, we need to have compassion. Compassion for what? This man literally went to a female sport, tied with a woman, but the rest of the public is being told that he won, when in fact he didn't win, and they snubbed her out of even getting an award. Super disrespectful to all the girls and women that compete in that sport.
Would conservatives are actually showing any kind of anything? I don't get it.
Really? CPAC, PragerU, all these organizations.
They're saying to get. I haven't seen a single person go positive on Leah Thomas.
I'm gonna need you to tune into IG, man.
I'm not.
Wait, are they saying it's a good thing she did that?
You didn't see Matt Schlapp? You didn't see his tweet?
No, I don't. I do not pay attention to the tweeters.
He said we should all have compassion because years down the line, this will be something normal. And he got hella flack for it. PragerU just got flack for saying that bisexuality is normal. All these people are getting slack or really getting called out for embracing this. Can't believe you didn't hear about this.
Look at that. And then, I got one more for y'all.
I put it in the Slack, the video.
I know, I'm trying to pull it
all the way
up
at the end.
Oh, you got it? I was just going to share that until you got it. I was going to
go
share
ahead. No, you got it? Go ahead.
I was going to share the women's track and field world records is what I was going to share.
Oh, no, share that. I'm trying to bring up this video, but
I was just showing the humongous discrepancy between boys high school track and field and women's world records. There are none that women have that women were better in. And this is women's world records versus boys high school.
I just thought it was cool that she spoke out. Yeah. And she's getting little to no attention. That was so like mind blowing.
Speaking of the Tweeterverse, have you seen what's going on with J.K. Rowling?
No, I don't follow her.
She's a feminist icon right now. What she's doing, she refuses to back down from the hill that women are women and they're unique and special and should be like, you should value your role as a woman. Mm-hmm. Oh, and she's getting like death threats, rakes across the coals, getting transphobe. Like they keep coming at her. And she's just like, I just don't care. She's like, I don't have fuck you money. I have fuck me money is what I've got.
That's crazy. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. Go look at J.K. Rowling's Twitter, Suni. You're actually like, what Harry Potter books aside, like, I think you'd enjoy which like the fight she's putting up against the woke mob on the left right now.
I would love to see it because I don't feel like many women are. I think a lot of women are scared. Like, First of all, you're not a chick, and you don't get to tell me what the hell a chick is. It's not how it works, buddy.
I'm throwing the video because it's not letting me share. There's some weird new settings, but I'm putting it in the Witchamoozy. So it is processing, and then I'll show. It's only 52 seconds of the Tucker Carlson show. There it is. I'll play it right now.
Yeah, hi Tucker. Thank you so much for having me and just giving me this opportunity to speak for myself and so many other women athletes out there who, aren't as fortunate as me and have kind of been told they're not allowed to talk about it. And so thank you so much for that. But yeah, like you said, me and Leah just recently tied at the NCAA championships. And honestly, I think the NCAA handled everything extremely poorly, starting from when we finished and I went behind the podium to collect my 5th place trophy. And, they kind of blatantly told me that Leah would hold the 5th place trophy and that I could pose with the 6th place trophy for photos and would be mailed a 5th place trophy in the mail. So
not only the
bruh. What? When I heard that, I was like, I'm doing a live about this. Where are you conservatives, man? Matt Schlapp, where you at? CPAC, all the influencers that were like, we should express compassion. No, we shouldn't. No, we shouldn't. You should tell them to start their own league and do whatever they want to do, but quit trying to dominate sports. And you have this girl that's like, look, we were tied, and I had to lie and say that I got 6th place when I didn't because we want to pander. That was nuts to me when I watched that. Absolutely nuts, man.
It's really funny is that he got 5th place.
It wouldn't be a full show if we didn't, comment on Grant's comment. I talk about Trump's kids all the time. They also did a decent job working for the White House. I'm not a huge Eric Trump fan. I think Don Jr. is, to me, I'm a fan. I like Don Jr. I know Sunni doesn't necessarily agree, and that's fine. Doesn't matter. But the fact is, what did they do wrong? He's blamed for doing cocaine that's never been proven. He's blamed for hunting wild game. Okay. But you've got Hunter Biden that you ignore, who is a crackhead that got millions of dollars from foreign companies that he didn't have to work on. He invested with Chinese businesses that he had no business being a part of. And he was directly tied to his father. Like, these are not comparable things. Don Jr. was tied to his father, but there's no evidence he ever did anything wrong on a global level. So, Grant, take the bull by the horns.
Well, hey, Grant.
Straight up the poop chute.
Grant, I'm sure you've heard of what happened with Project Veritas and Ashley Biden's diary, wherein they were given Ashley Biden's diary that had what was allegedly Ashley Biden's diary that had passages in it talking about her Papa Joe, her Daddy Joe, molesting her. And in the process, while they were getting it verified, they could never actually get it verified. But apparently it was important enough in Project Veritas. I mean,
I just said one was alleged. The other one is on video while banging somebody. Like,
listen, crack and cocaine are not the same thing.
And that's also
you need to learn your drugs. I don't even do drugs, and I know this.
Hunter Biden banged his aggrieved widow's or his brother's widow, right after Bo died. Again, Ashley Biden's diary talking about what Joe Biden did to her. Apparently, they couldn't verify it. But when the FBI raided Project Veritas journalists' homes in order to find it, took it away and never released it, that probably speaks a lot to it. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on in that Biden family. Hunter Biden is a giant sack of shit human being who was actively taking contributions from foreign actors, such as in the Ukraine, such as in China, for the benefit of his family.
But there's rumors that, Don Jr. did cocaine. He's a rich kid's son. I mean, I've never done.
I don't care if somebody does cocaine.
I've never done
so much about the crack.
Besides weed, I've never done any drug a day in my life. So I'm not a condoner of drugs, but at the same time, I know a lot of rich kids and they all do that shit.
Well, apparently some rich kids like Hunter Biden do fucking crack instead. So
crack is whack.
Why would you do crack if you're rich enough to do coke?
Hunter Biden's like, why would you do a 22-year-old when you could do a 16-year-old?
Maybe he wasn't rich enough yet. He had to get his Ukraine deal done.
Anyways, what's this? I got a Reddit with Kyrie Irving. Oh, hit the buzzer beater. Unvaccinated Kyrie Irving stepping up to the plate at the end of the game because he's got the energy to keep going. Anyways, that's all I've got on this show. So haven't any charges been brought up? Are you not paying attention, you dumb? Oh my God, Grant, you clearly only watch CNN, which might I add is even now not to talk. He's still blaming Rudy Giuliani. That's the reason why the leftist media suppressed it in the beginning. They found an excuse. They said, "Oh, it's Rudy Giuliani. You can't trust it. He's working for the Trump campaign. If he finds you can't be this stupid."
No, he's not that stupid, Anthony. He's just giving you a troll. But Grant knows. He knows that it was called fake when it came out. He knows that CNN and MSNBC all said it was fake because this is his. This is probably the side he's on. He knows that's true, and he knows that.
Hey, let's flip this. Let's flip this on Grant. Why are there not any charges against Trump for sexual assault?
Oh, because he's.
Oh wait, no, there was one. Oh, wait a minute. The girl that tried to claim it actually had to pay him back for all of the court fees and everything.
Grant, where are the charges?
What? Grant, they're not going to charge.
Where are all the black people that quote unquote got discriminated against out of Trump Tower? Where is it?
Well, no,
you know where it is? Doesn't fucking exist. Kind of like you're trying to say that Hunter Biden stuff doesn't exist, right? We can flip this on you, buddy. You're just going to have to answer the questions.
Well, a court-filed allegation.
Allegations aren't charges, you dumbass.
And then dropped.
Yeah, so Here, so where's the official filing for Hunter? He's under investigation right now for it. That's why they're getting ahead of it. That's why they're trying to distract from it. Because first and foremost, he's under investigation.
Like
Second
people.
off, let's ask a series of questions. Grant, if Joe Biden was transparent and if Hunter Biden had not actually done it, then an investigation by Biden's DOJ that's actually talked about would be fine. Here's the other thing. The FBI literally raided the home of journalists in order to take Ashley Biden's journal away from them. Do you think this same FBI, do you think this same Department of Justice will be pressing charges against Biden's son? No.
We're wasting a lot of time.
I'm not a
on
partisan
this
person.
individual.
I don't like Democrats. I don't like Republicans. I think they're
Trump ain't
both
my
full
thing.
of shit. I
Yeah.
don't believe in the red wave. I think that's an illusion too, to make the public fall in line. I think that everything is going to be freaking okay. It's not. Okay, and America is on its way to hell, and we're just letting it go. But Grant, I think you're dumb. I'm gonna be super honest. You talk about us being partisan. You can't even criticize a Democrat. I have never even heard, not even heard you, because I ain't never heard you speak. But every time you got the Twitter fingers on your phone, bro, you ain't talking nothing about Democrats. You're so focused on the fact that we don't talk about them. Why don't you start a live and talk about Democrats, and then we could talk about who's partisan and who's not?
How about we just try to get him on? Oh wait, he never shows
He's
up.
Yeah, we've
pussy.
tried.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. You're not getting on here because you're the P word.
No, he probably watches MSNBC, not CNN. My bad. We're not getting mad. We can't believe there's people that dumb in this world or that trolly. I think right now it's probably Kevin.
Dumb.
Kevin has got a second profile and he's just like randomly typing this shit in just for entertainment. But by the way, Hunter Biden paid off a tax liability of over $1 million a year after he announced he was under investigation. So just now, at the end of 2021, if you don't know this, Grant, he paid $1 million back tax bill because it would make it much harder. An up-to-date tax bill would make it harder for prosecutors to convict him of any kind of tax fraud, even though that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Grant,
but it helps.
what is your political affiliation? I'll wait. I just want to know, honestly, what is your political affiliation?
Grant, I'm
How
not
do you
now
vote?
Trump
calling
voter.
you dumb. I've called you dumb for a long time.
I've always thought you were dumb.
Yeah. I think
I mean, I'm sure
his, his first name I thought was
your
like
life
Billy
matters.
Joe or something like that.
It's like,
dumb
no.
literally means that you have no critical thought or common sense. And I think you fit the description.
How mature, coming from the troll. Anyways, all right, let's end the show.
This show
guys.
is sponsored by Grant.
Sponsored by, I think that should be how every show ends. We do our whole show and then we address Grant's grievances for being
Great.
sharp.
And
I
now
don't
it's
like
time
any
for Grant.
party. So if you don't like any party, then why do you spend so much time watching conservatives talk about Democrats, but you disagree with every little thing we say?
Suni,
I don't think there's been anything you've agreed on.
Suni, you didn't get what he said. He doesn't like any parties. He doesn't go out. He's a homebody. He's not talking about politics.
God,
Oh man. Oh, cash update. Yeah, I can do that real quick. So if you guys saw Erica's post, he just the haircutting thing, I misunderstood. I thought everybody got haircuts. Cash has been getting haircuts for a while because he is vaccinated. But all of the unvaccinated people have not been allowed to have a haircut since they entered the jail. So Cash cut everybody. They allowed Cash to have a scissor and trimmer, and he trimmed up all the dudes, including some of the far righties, a little bit of the ones that might have,
A little crazy.
Well, he probably did more to end racism doing that than
and they got
Joe
to
Biden ever done.
share a little love with each other via haircut. So Cash was the one that cut it.
oh, he's
Anyways.
a feminist. I don't think that's a guy. I think that's a girl.
He is a girl.
It's the first thing they brought up. Repeal the 19th.
He tapped into
I
the
triggered
friend.
you.
So
You have an innie instead of an outie. All right.
Casey, we're gonna let you end.
Yo.
I'm gonna let you end the show.
I'm
So we're gonna
fringe,
go,
everybody.
We're gonna go Kevin, Suni, me, and then Casey.
Hey, yeah. Never back down on that Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is the most important amendment we have. Any step you give the government, any single step, and we've already given about 1,500, is gonna every step is gonna be a step we get back.
You
You guys
may.
are so white. Do you know what song popped in my head? Bobby Brown. Y'all are singing that song.
Well, Anthony started singing that fucking song. All right. But no, so catch me on the radio every morning, 7 to 9 a.m. Common Nonsense, 1360khnc.com.
Catch me on the radio outside.
Catch me outside. How about it?
Bad Barbie. She's worth millions of dollars now. How about that?
Yeah.
Suni, go ahead.
Well, them titties at nice. What?
Just pledge allegiance.
They are like what? What can you say?
She's grown up. Suni, go ahead.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I'm black and I'm not oppressed. And you guys can catch me on Instagram. I always do an after show for Truth to Set You Free, where I bring different people on to hear their opinions on the things we discussed on the show. And it's usually a good time. I have people like Grant come on. Hopefully, Grant will come over to IG. You don't have to show your face, bro. You can block your face because I know you guys are scared like that. But I would love to hear you verbally have discourse with us instead of chatting away, because anybody can go Google something and feel like they know.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, Mitch was talking shit about you earlier. I saw some post, but Suni,
was.
I think it's gonna look a little bit like this if he comes on your show. Suni, I think that whatever you think is just wrong. Okay, first off, and I'm non-binary, so you need to stop judging who I am. I kept one tit. I left the other just in case. My name is Grant Bull. Granted, I'm full of bullshit.
You can't even handle me in the chat.
Anyways, you can't handle me in the chat. Okay.
No, I'm black and I'm not oppressed. I love you guys.
Right.
Prayers to Eric's family.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
Rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace, Easy.
Truth. Super awkward time right now to talk about My Patriot Supply. But if anybody would appreciate it, Eric would. So remember, guys, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. If you want to support us, go to preparewithbtc.com. Save $100 on your 3-month food kits. That's preparewithbtc.com from My Patriot Supply while you can. If you like the gear, and this is actually a tribute to Easy because he never missed an opportunity, go to awakenotwokestore.com. Get Awake for 15% off.
Since we ended on the whole Leah topic, ladies,
go
get your shirts. Okay, let people know that being a woman is not a feeling.
Yeah,
Please.
and actually, and you could use MATA. Use promo code MATA for anything tonight, and whenever you're seeing Suni stuff, use that for 20% off. So Suni, get up there and go ahead and check out those. We also got the Make America Think Again. I've been trying to be disrespectful for a while. Clear. What else do I have to say? I think that's it. Last thing, you can watch our show on obviously on these channels and stations, networks, but if you'd like to join what we do to see some extra stuff with Great American Syndicate, new way to support us, it's on the bottom scroll on the bottom. It is like our Patreon. Please continue to support our Patreon, but it's bit.ly/GASBTC. And last but not least, all of our shows stay up on podcast forever. You can listen to old shows with Cash, whatever you want to, #BeTheChange.com/podcast. And also to Easy's family, to Ashley, to his daughter and his unborn daughter, all my respects. And sorry you're gone, buddy. And wish we would have talked more, especially near the end. Case, go for it.
Yeah, just you repeated a lot of the stuff I was just going to say about Easy. Just going to miss you, man. And the biggest thing that we can do in the world to honor him would be to bring unity and bring people together and try to show your presence within the country and do your part locally. Do that. That is how we can start doing these things productively in our country. So I encourage you all to do that, as I always have. But definitely now that Easy would encourage you to do the same thing.